Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 241. Again to the latest Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services, the commercial finance expert. In this bulletin, Lloyds Bank announces 2019 business lending plans, asset finance usage remains flat, and calls for strengthening of the prompt payment code. Let's start this week's bulletin with some positive news from the Lloyds banking group. Lloyds have announced that in 2019 it plans to lend out £18 billion to UK businesses. Now, as part of the advertising package announcing the launch of this fund, Lloyds have said that this fund is going to be available to businesses, and here I quote, whatever the future brings. Quite an interesting line to put in there. So what businesses are going to be supported? Well, Lloyds has said it's going to support startups, micro businesses, scale-up businesses, medium-sized businesses, larger businesses, essentially all UK businesses. But there's specific mention of small businesses who are looking to export for the first time. As we know, the government is really trying to encourage businesses to enter the export market. So good to see that Lloyds are specifically highlighting support for those businesses entering the export market for the first time. So if you want to know more about what Lloyds Bank can do, just go along to their website, which is lloydsbank.com/business. Let's move on now to our monthly look at what's going on in the asset finance world. The Finance and Leasing Association have released details of volumes of business written by its members in November 2018. Now, asset finance, as we know, is a great alternative to traditional bank finance when it comes to purchasing and financing assets, particularly movable and tangible assets. So what happened in November 2018? Well, in that month, volumes of business written compared to the same month, November 2017, well, growth there was essentially zero. There was just no volume growth at all. And that kind of reflects this air of cautiousness that many small businesses are currently experiencing. However, look beyond the figures, we can see actually there are mixed kind of results coming out of that. In terms of plant and machinery, well, the volumes there increased by 9%. Also business equipment, that increased by 8%. However, those growth rates were actually offset by a decline of 6% in terms of new vehicles and cars being financed, and also a massive drop of 32% in terms of IT equipment being financed. So you can see a real mixed bag. However, year on year, November 18 for the whole 12 months compared to November 2017, there was a nominal growth of 3% overall. Now compare that to bank lending, where the latest figures from UK Finance show that in that same period, bank lending declined by 1.7%. So we can see a big margin of difference between those two sectors. As always, interesting times ahead. As we record this bulletin, we're in January 2019 and we are 12 months on from the collapse of the UK's second largest construction group, Carillion. Yet in that 12 months, and there's been lots of horror stories of smaller businesses, to subcontractors who were affected by Carillion's liquidation, whereby they didn't essentially get paid money that they were due. And obviously that led to a lot of hardship and in some cases company failures. So as you know, over the last 12 months there's been a big drive by the government to improve standards around late payment. But as we enter a new year, the Federation of Small Businesses has called upon the government to strengthen the prompt payment code. Now, the prompt payment code is a voluntary code that many large businesses have signed up to, but in many cases it's really not doing its job. And the FSB wants the government to look at three things in terms of strengthening this code. First of all, they really want the government to be naming and shaming poor payers in order to shame them into paying businesses on time. Secondly, in terms of public sector contracts, FSB are really pushing for having project bank accounts set up where money is put to one side and essentially held in trust for the smaller businesses in the supply chain so they don't lose out. And in fact, a bill has already been tabled at Parliament to enact this, and that will be debated in March 2019. And lastly, the FSB is also calling for the larger firms to have non-executive directors who have specific responsibility around supplier payment to ensure that smaller businesses are being paid on time. So as ever, my comment is that this whole late payment thing is really not going away, and hopefully 2019 will see a lot more teeth being given to the likes of the prompt payment code to try and eradicate this problem. If you want to know more about the prompt payment code, you can go along to the website, which is promptpayment.org.uk. Well, that's it for another bulletin. As ever, I hope you enjoyed watching it. And if you did, please don't forget to give it a like and a share. So that's it. Look forward to being with you again next time. Have a great, successful and profitable week.